Welcome students, I'm Ms. Lovelace and I will be your instructor for Biology 103 this summer. I just wanted to reach out and show you how to navigate around on our Blackboard page and give you some hints and tips on how to be successful in my class and to give you a face to go with a name. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize me and we'll get started looking at our course page. I do actually have this set up right now showing as a student preview because I need to show you what it's going to look like when you first enter the class. Here at the very top there will be this link to this video, and then all you'll have access to will be the Start Here module, the printables if you decide not to purchase things from the bookstore, and a link to my vocabulary Quizlet page and the student resources module. You cannot see the lecture or lab materials until you complete the first assignments that are located in the Start Here section. And the reason I have everything locked off to keep you from getting to it is because I've had students that have not completed those first assignments and then they were no-showed in the class because they didn't complete those first attendance verification assignments. So let's go ahead and open up the Start Here module. There's some information that I will want you to work through that is really important here at the very beginning. Before you do anything else, I want you to look at that information that's in the course resources document, and that's going to be the syllabus. You will need to read that, and I'll pull that up here in a minute on Acrobat, and then our summer due date schedule for when your exams and all of your other assignments are due. So that will be important. I do want you to print this out. I teach so many different classes. I do teach Biology 101, 102, 103, 104, 201, and 202. So it's hard for me to update the dates in Blackboard, so I do that on something that you can print out and you keep up with those dates. And I do send out reminders every week through text to tell you what's coming. But you do have access to it from the very beginning of the semester so that you can see all those due dates. And I will go over those in just a moment. After the course resources and you print out those things that you need, then you're going to go to first assignments. And this is for attendance verification. You have to complete these items before anything else will show up on the page for you. So the very first thing for you to do will be sign up for the course remind. And I do have the information in here, and depending on which class it is, because I do have several of 103s this semester, you'll need to read which code belongs to your class. So even though this one says Summer 24, it's not going to be the same one for my online students as it is for my dual high school students. So make sure that you get the correct code from your particular class to sign up for the course remind, and you do get points for that. So sign up for remind. Do not remove yourself from the remind group, because at the end of the semester or anywhere in between, if you take yourself out, I'll go back and remove that grade of 10 points for you. It'll become 0. So you need to stay in the remind group for the entire semester. Okay, the next thing you need to do is take and watch the attendance verification quiz video. I'm just going to go over a few little items about what we cover in Biology 103. So it's some content related. I'll need you to read through your syllabus, and there will be a quiz that goes over that. And you can take, I think, up to 5 times to get the points that you need on it. So you'll take that verification quiz that covers information from this video and the syllabus. In order for the rest of your class information to populate so that you can see what the lecture and lab materials are, you'll need to make at least an 8 out of 10 on that attendance verification quiz. We have you do that because if you don't take that attendance verification quiz, it counts you as a no-show, that you haven't done the initial work to stay in the class, and they'll drop you from the class. So make sure you do these things. Go to the discussion board and tell me a little bit about yourselves. So I have some information that I'm kind of looking for. If you will just kind of follow that information, we'll be good to go. All right, so that's first assignments. So after you complete that, then you should be able to see the lecture and lab materials. And I'm going to pause this just a moment and then go open up the other page. I do also want to point these links out again for you. Okay, I have now pulled up, once you've completed those first assignments, you now should see different unit folders. So the lecture materials are shown here in green. So there will be units 1 through 6 and the final exam, and then keep going because your lab materials are at the bottom. So labs 1 through 3 are in this folder, labs 4 to 6, 7 through 9, and 10 to 12. So you'll work your way through those, but I have students sometimes that only come here and then they forget about the lab materials. So make sure you don't forget about the lab materials. They are at the bottom of the page below the lecture materials. So I'm going to open up the first unit. You can see here it says release conditions. That's because you won't be able to see it until you take that first attendance verification quiz. So Unit 1, I will have instructional materials, and this is really important. There will be Unit 1 video lecture links, and you do need to watch the videos. I have the PowerPoints there. Only in a pinch do you need to copy down your notes from the PowerPoints. The videos are important because I give you information like I would if I had you in the classroom, where I give you hints and tips about, hey, this would make a really great test question. And it makes you interact with the material in 3 ways. You're seeing it, you're hearing it, and you're doing it because you're writing it in. And I do have what my notes look like. Let me pull that across here. My notes are fill in the blank. So it's making you interact with those important words that will come back to you when it comes time to take that test. So it is important for you to take and fill out your notes. I don't take them up for a grade, but this is a majors class, a 103 class. It is expected that you do those notes on your own. So the instructional materials, I'll have links to the videos. So click on here and then it'll take you over to YouTube. And then I sometimes have some additional ones that are embedded that might be helpful to you. Like this is about the Bohr model and how electrons are arranged. And that is important because there were test questions on the very first test about how electrons are arranged for the chemistry portion. So again, watch those videos. And then I have additional resources. These are just extra things that if you don't have the notes from the bookstore yet, you can print them out from here. I have the study guide, I have the notes packet, and I have the vocabulary worksheet. I'm not sure why that PowerPoint's in there. Other ungraded assignments. These are, if you're having trouble, I'm going to give you a lot of extra things to help you. There are ungraded assignments, those things that you can do. There's crossword reviews, there's comparison charts, there's different things that you can work on to help you. I taught high school for a really long time, and I know it's important to be able to provide students with extra things to help guide them through the materials and to give them extra practice. So this is where you would find the extra practice, or what you would used to call daily work at high school. I have learning activities and study aids. This is important in Biology 103 because everything, if you can do these things, this will be the best way for you to study. And do your study guides. And your study guides, let me pull one of those up for you real quick. Okay, so I have the study guides. Those are in the printed note packets. If you buy them from the bookstore, or you'll have to print them out on your own. You do have to answer them, and this is a graded assignment. But the great thing is, I do provide you with the answers. The way I have them set up, though, as you work through the material, if you'll come back and work on the study guide after you've taken the notes to see what you picked up and maybe things that you haven't, that will help you know what you need to look at for studying, because what's on here will be what's on your test. Now, it's not word for word. I don't do it that way. As long as you know the material multiple ways, then you'll do fine on my tests. So I have these games, these PowerPoint review games. You'll want to download those to your laptops or your computers, and you'll play them. And I'm going to give you an example of one. And if you can't really play it online here because it pops up the answer already and it doesn't help you. But if you were actually to look at the PowerPoint, let me show you quick. It would pop up. So the very thing would come up, question, another name for a living thing. And it wouldn't show you this yet. You would say organism, and then you make a click on the page and it pops up the word organism. Were you correct? Yes. Or if not, then you know what the correct answer is. And it will go through the information. And if you can do all of these PowerPoint games and answer all the questions every time they pop, so this is the best way to study. Use those PowerPoint review games. Kahoot's okay, but they don't have all of the material that's covered in these PowerPoint games. So use the PowerPoint games. In a pinch, if you're out somewhere and you just need to study, you can use the Kahoots. But PowerPoint is the way to go. Then I have the study guide keys. I have the answer keys to the study guides. So you can check your answers on what you put on the study guides. I want to make sure that you do write down the right things, so that way you also know what to study if you happen to be looking at that instead. So, and that would be something that would be graded, that you turn in for a grade. So unit graded assignments. These are where you turn in your different things. So vocabulary, in your note packet, you will have a worksheet that you put your vocabulary on. And so you would write your definitions from my Quizlet link. So if I go back over here to this front page, if you click on this vocabulary Quizlet page, it will take you to my Quizlet, It has all of the 103 materials in order by unit. You open it up and you copy down my vocabulary words, word for word. Don't abbreviate anything, don't leave anything off, because I do check them. The first time I might let it slide, but after that, if you don't do this exact definitions that I put in there, I'm going to count off on your definitions. So make sure you just copy this down word for word onto that worksheet. So do that from here. And let me get back to that. Hang on just a second. Fill them out here by hand. I do not want them typed, because it's too easy for students to copy and paste, and then you don't learn anything. This is another way to force you to interact with those terms and to learn them. So I expect those to be handwritten on this piece of paper that comes from your note packet, or on another sheet of paper if you don't buy the note packet and you want to write them out. But if you do handwrite them in on notebook paper, you have to number them 1, 2, because I know exactly how many you're supposed to have, and I can spot check to make sure they have the correct number, and I'm going to read your definitions. So make sure that you have those all written down and you turn them into the Dropbox. And so the Dropbox would be down here, Dropbox. You upload pictures of those pages into your Dropbox. Put in your pictures of your study guide assignment. And if you have questions, I will have a link there showing you how to upload things into the Dropboxes. You're going to have a discussion board posting for every unit. You're going to tell me something that you found interesting or you had difficulty with during the course of that. It has to be 2 to 3 sentences long, and you have to tell me something very specific about you learned, not just simply I found this interesting, because that's not putting any thought into it. And in order to get your points, you have to have thoughtful responses to your discussion board posts. Then you'll have your assessments. Those will be taken online. You'll have to respond as lockdown. And so that means that you're going to need to use a PC computer and not a Chromebook, because Chromebooks don't work well with the lockdown browser. So you'll need to make sure that you have a place to be able to take those tests. There will be 2 of those tests that have to be proctored by video, and that will be the Unit 2 test on cells and then the final exam. And that means you're going to have a webcam, and it will videotape you as you're taking your test, your face, your full face, your environment, and your computer screen. So it's going to have multiple things that I'm looking at, and I do actually watch those videos. So all of your tests are closed book. It's supposed to be what you study and store in your mind. Those other tests that aren't proctored, they're not going to be any easier, because I do have them tightly timed. You'll have less than 1 minute per question to get through those tests. And so you won't have time to look things up, because if you try to look them up, you're going to run out of time, and you'll make the same grade that you did as if you just took it with what's off the top of your head. So that's what on those. So again, lecture materials at the top. Scroll down. There is an extra credit assignment over the course of summer. If you want to do that, you can do that. The information is there, and the Dropbox for that is there as well in this particular folder. For labs, you will be taking, and the labs, you will work through them like you would on campus. We've rearranged these this year where you don't have separate things that you have to handwrite or anything. You're going to open up the lab. You will, and this is going to look a little different to you than it does to me. I'll have all the information. You'll read through it. You'll come to questions. Exercise 1, I give you some information to read through, and then you get to some questions. When you look through the provided pictures, you need to write out an answer for me here as to what it is. So it's all going to be automatically graded, except for some of those things where you have to actually fill it in. But it is an auto-graded assignment, so you should know right away what you make on that. In the past, I was spending hours upon hours upon hours hand grading handwritten labs. That didn't work, and they weren't always the same thing that the students on campus were getting. So we modified those this year to be, if you miss an in-person class, you can do the same one online and still get the same experience. So that's why we did those. So your labs, again, are at the bottom underneath, and there will be labs 1 through 3 in this first one, and there will be a lab quiz that covers all 3 of those labs. I don't have those completed and put in there yet, since this is the first semester that we are utilizing these. But I want to go back and I want to show you your course schedule for the summer. And let's pull that up. So your first assignments are due Wednesday, June 12th, and you have your first lab that is due Sunday, June 16th. So you'll scroll down there. to the labs at the bottom of the page, and you'll do lab 1. So in the past, students had to purchase lab lecture note packet from the bookstore and lab packet, but all you'll have to buy for my class now is just your lecture notes. That you don't have to buy anything else except for mine. So you should be under $25 total for my class. So you'll go into Blackboard, go to lab 1, work through that lab. That's due by the 16th. Week 2, you're going to have your first exam covering the Unit 1 materials, and that's due Wednesday night, and I do have the date and time that those need to be completed by. You also have due that day the Unit 1 vocabulary and study guide pages and the discussion board poster replies. So you've got several things that are due on that 19th. Your exam, the vocabulary, your study guide, your discussion board post, and the reply to at least one other student on that. So make sure that you do those. You can turn things in ahead of time. Please do so. Don't wait till that Wednesday and try to get it all done, because you're going to overwhelm yourself and you're going to get snowballed because you're going to have so much stuff that you're going to have to try to catch up on. So keep to the dates that are on here. You don't want to lose any points for being late. So make sure you work through it, get it done on time, and it'll keep things really manageable for you. If you just spend like 30, 40 minutes a day on working on this stuff, it shouldn't be a problem. But if you wait till on one day, it might be sitting there for 4 or 5 hours, and that gets really tedious very, very quickly. I will send out a weekly reminding you as to what's due that week. So I do want to speak about Remind. If you ever have any questions, I'm here to help you. I want you to succeed. Most of my students do really well in my classes because they know that I care, and they know that they can reach out to me, and I will answer you as quickly as I can. Now, there's a few times that I can't get to you right away. That might be on Sundays and Wednesdays when I'm at church, or if I'm sleeping. But if other times you send me a message, I'll usually within 5-10 minutes I'm responding to you if I can. So anyway, I hope you have a really great semester, and I look forward to interacting with all of you.